When I decided to go through with this series retrospective, I chose Momodora for the simple fact that I had only played Reverie Under the Moonlight and Minoria. However, after playing Momodora 1 and starting to write this review, I found out that a new iteration is in the works. Such a happy accidental discovery also serves as a great starting point for my narrative. I came across the Momodora series in 2015 when I had decided to retire my console career and become a full-time PC player. Back then, I was starved for more Metroidvanias and other exploration games alike, and I remember Steam recommending me Reverie Under the Moonlight, which, as with most games, it took me one glance to know that it was exactly what I was looking for. Ever since then, I kept an eye on the series and played its sequel, Minoria, when it came out. I hadn't played the old ones and I dismissed them as probably not being as polished as the new ones. But now with a channel to run and a more open mind, I thought it was a good idea to return to it and start from the first one. And oh boy, was I in for a treat. Momodora 1 isn't even on Steam, it's on itch.io, a well-known gaming platform that hosts primarily small productions from indie developers. The game is free though, and the first thing we see on its page is a huge disclaimer by the developer advising us to play the other games instead. I don't think so, sir. I'm ready to take out the badness and or goodness this game has to offer. However, before this game takes me to a dark alley and screw me, I think introductions are in order. Momodora 1 was released in 2010 by the developer Guilherme, aka Ardeen, or Ardane, who's also the founder and head of the studio Bomb Service. He's also my compatriot, therefore proudly part of the Uehue Nation. According to him, Momodora 1 takes inspiration from games such as Mega Man and Cave Story. While I haven't played the latter, I can kind of see the similarities with the former, especially regarding the difficulty. The creator also notes that this is his first game and it's roughly put together and rather than polished. Is it really that bad though? Well, you play as a girl named Isadora who has embarked on a journey to resuscitate her deceased mother. The plot revolves around some sort of sacrifice ritual that some unfortunate folks are chosen as the subjects, Isadora's mom being one of those. You can find objects throughout the game which are supposed to expand the game's lore on the whole sacrifice thing, but since the game doesn't offer you pretty much anything else in terms of story, those items end up existing in a vacuum and not making much sense. Gameplay-wise, it's a simplistic 2D action-adventure. Unlike the most recent titles, there's pretty much no exploration to be done, besides branching paths that lead to those plot items. Your job is to merely go forward and overcome whatever obstacles lie ahead of you. As the developers writes on the game's page, it's supposed to be challenging like an arcade type of game, and challenging it is. Movement is quite strict, you only have 5 hit points and checkpoints are only present between levels. The monsters you encounter become increasingly difficult with each stage, although the worst issue that makes this game way harder than it should be is that you have almost no invincibility frames after getting hit. So when you find yourself in a niche spot surrounded by enemies, you can and will die pretty easily. The game is quite short, consisting of only a few levels, and there are no bosses between them. There are though a bunch of weapons to collect, and in my opinion this is one of the high points of this game. You start with just one weapon, and a staple of the series, a maple leaf that you use as a short-range melee weapon. As you progress through the stages, you collect many more weapons, mostly range guns. While the variety is welcomed, a blatant wish with them, and one that permeates this game in general, is that they're not very well balanced, making the Colt just the absolute best and the other ones not that much attractive. Thankfully, the boomerang and the shield can be used in conjunction with the other weapons and with themselves, which is a pretty nice design touch, even for a game with such limited scope. In the end, you arrive at the last and only boss in the game, which is also the most interesting and developed enemy. It has 3 phases, which I honestly wasn't expecting. Only the last one is particularly challenging, but none of them are difficult. You'll probably die once or twice just for not knowing what lies ahead. As far as I know, there are no secrets or unlockables. There could be a secret ending after collecting all those relics, but I doubt that's the case, and even if there is, it certainly doesn't warrant a second playthrough. All in all, I actually had a good time with the game. Yeah, it's rough around the edges, but I didn't think it was bad in an unpleasant way. It's a simple game, clearly done by an amateur game designer at the time, but hell, I've seen much worse than this. I could see this game overstaying its welcome if it was too long, but that's not the case. It's short, and whatever flaws it has, they're not persistent or long enough to make the playthrough a chore. Not to mention that this game has a dying design structure. Most of its kind, including this series, eventually transforms and changes the focus of the challenge from the stages to the bosses. The enemies between those become merely an afterthought annoyance. I'm happy to go back to playing something that actually makes the stages and enemies an actual threat. I guess it's another inspiration for when games are a kick to the balls. In any case, I think this game should be on the other storefronts, along with the others in the series. I'd make some minor adjustments though, like getting rid of that nasty soft lock in the beginning and extending the invisibility frames. Also, the soundtrack should be available. It's pretty good overall, and some tunes are straight up fire. 3 is the right price for this project though, but who knows, maybe the creator will one day return to it with a remake. And with this game out of the way, I'll move on to Momodora 2. That's all I have for today. Now, I want to hear your thoughts about the game or any other feedback you might have. Leave a comment below, and if you like my content, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and consider supporting me on Patreon. It's just $1. Until next time!